to talk about artists who express themselves through criminal activity, but legally, or borderline. Maurizio Cattelan is a modern-day art world genius who has come closest to crossing that thin line between innocence and crime without getting convicted. Here he is doing a sort of identity theft. He dressed as Picasso and stood outside the Modern Museum of Art in New York for the greeting guests. It was brilliant. In 1996, while participating in a group show called Crapshoot in De Appel, Amsterdam, Cattelan used a criminal act as his medium. While making an art gallery, his unwitting accomplice in the crime. De Appel insisted that Cattelan complete an art installation in 1 week, and he did not like to work that fast. He explained that he hated the work, and when he was a young man, he hated the work, and he believed labor robbed the artist of his precious time. Too often, the artwork becomes laborious, so he made a crime into an artwork. The night before the Crapshoot opening, still at a loss for a conceptual piece, Maurizio broke into the nearby gallery Bloom, which did not have an alarm system, and he stole all the contents of the gallery, the fax machines, the desks, the artworks, the typewriters. He packed them up in these boxes that you see exhibited here. He transported them to De Appel with a truck and some friends, where he exhibited them the next day under the title, like Duchamp's Ready Made. It was another effing beep, effing ready made. Use your imagination. I don't want to curse in a Catholic school. This theft was a statement about displacement. A really brilliant man. Maurizio is one of the best. One gallery was transported completely to another. This has been described as a form of cultural policing that allowed the curators of De Appel to reframe a real theft as an act of appropriation. The police were soon summoned, and there were problems on the horizon for Maurizio. The owners of the gallery Bloom soon calmed down and made a deal not to press charges if Maurizio agreed to show in their gallery. So a year later, he had a show in their gallery. He jested, he joked about, if I did this in New York, I would have been locked up for 20 years for a burglary where they have no sense of humor whatsoever. But in Amsterdam, where my friends Vincent and Alex are from, all is legal. So, now another piece of his, in 2002, a work called Untitled, he was at a loss again and didn't have an idea. Night before, Cattelan was in need of a work for an upcoming exhibition and pressed for time, could not make his deadline. He went to the local Italian police station the evening prior and lied to them. He reported that an unknown suspect, he falsely reported that an unknown suspect had stolen a sculpture from his car. He then took the official police report, framed it and hung it in the gallery, and that was his piece, Untitled. Okay, this is a real safe that was broken into by hardcore criminals. 76 million lira was stolen from this safe. By representing a safe that has already been broken into as a sculptural work of art, Maurizio Cattelan has taken the idea of ready-made, again with Duchamp's Ready-Made, one stage further by cleverly highlighting the criminal nature of his activity as outright theft. 76 milioni di lire is a real broken safe from which 76 milioni di lire was stolen. In the broken safe, Maurizio Cattelan has ingeniously discovered a metaphor for the bankruptcy of ideas in postmodern communication. Maurizio Cattelan was born in 1960 in Padua, Italy. He is known as an art world prankster whose work have provoked and challenged. His work has provoked and challenged the limits of contemporary value systems through the use of irony and humor, oftentimes dark humor. Maurizio often questions institutional authority and can prove to be insolently extreme when the occasion arises, as so many artists can prove to be insolently extreme. In this work, Maurizio Cattelan presents a new icon of subversion. Continuing his exploration of the mechanics of confrontation, Frank and Jamie is both an inverted image of power, and I would love to see my chief upside down like this on his head. An inverted image of power and a statement about seduction of authority, which is very serious statements an artist can make. This is an artist friend of mine, Perry Bard. I don't know if you met her when we were in SVA, but she's an SVA professor and a very good artist and a video artist. These are trucks that drove around Manhattan for about a week. And on it, there are Mesopotamian artifacts that were stolen from the Baghdad Museum. Michael Rockowitz. These are wonderful. These images are from an exhibition called Recovered, Missing, and Stolen. They were made in Middle Eastern packaging and newspaper, and they were showed at the Lombard Fried Gallery. Okay, really nice work. Now, this is a friend of mine, John Myatt. He lives in London. The artist John Myatt was involved in what Scotland Yard described the biggest art fraud of the 20th century. John painted over 200 fakes of Giacometti, Klee, Chagall, and Van Gogh, to name a few. You gotta excuse me for talking a little fast. I'm afraid I'm not making the full period. I want you to hear some of this stuff. Let's see another one of them. That's John again, a wonderful man. I really like him because when he speaks about art, he's sincere and it's very, very true. And he actually wasn't criminal-minded. A con man tricked him into doing these, so he painted the paintings like he likes to paint fakes, but they were original fakes. He wouldn't sign them. The con man ended up tricking him and actually at gunpoint one time made him sign them, and they were selling them for millions. It's a big story, but he did time for it. These paintings were then sold by the master con man that John was associated with. John was arrested in 1999, served 4 months of the 12-month sentence. The con man John Drew did a lot of time. They knew that he was really just a victim also. When he was released from prison, he swore he would never paint again. In prison, they called him Picasso. Right? Picasso. The Scotland Yard detective who I also met when I was in Scotland Yards at a class, he told me about it. That's before I met him. He told me about it. He said, Scotland Yard detective said, you have to paint. You're an artist. You're a real artist. You're sincere. Paint my family. So he commissioned the family portrait. And then next thing you know, he started painting again. This is, now he's making a lot of money selling these original fakes. And you know he's not cheating anyone. They buy it because they want a Matisse with a raised arm, or a Monet in the style of 1904. And this one is Modigliani, Jean Albertien, his lover in 1916, and here's a Picasso. And I like what he says on his website. When I paint in the style of one of the greats, Monet, Picasso, Van Gogh, I am simply creating a copy. I am not simply creating a copy or pale imitation of the original. Just as an actor immerses himself into a character, I climb into the minds and lives of each artist. I adopt their techniques and search for their inspiration, the inspiration behind each great artist's view of the world. Then and only then do I start to paint a legitimate fake. The gift of time allows me the opportunity to paint the unwritten chapter in an artist's life. So he's looking for those unfinished pieces that the artist never created. It was my privilege to return to the places they loved and explore the angles that remain uncovered or create the next chapter in life. And he's a wonderful guy. He's into the Montparnasse era too, so you see he does a lot of Picassos and stuff. Let's go to one. Now I start the art theft. I was a little worried I wouldn't get all this done. How am I doing on time? Okay, I can go a little slower then. Okay, that's Robert Volpe, a good friend of mine. He was the art theft investigator in NYPD.
Yeah.
That's all right.